Chris.
Heath.
I am the killer.
You're a cricket killer.
Yeah, saving the studio.
It was for a good cause, that being audio quality.
Watch me be haunted by the spirit of the cricket.
All of his descendants will torment you
Yeah.
for the remainder of their short lifetimes.
I'm gonna buy a home in Cricket County, and be like, this is my dream home. And then the first night, it'll bother me like a little bit, and it'll only crescendo from there.
Been a while, Heath. It's good to see you.
Woo, Chris! Oh, your beard is so long.
Yeah. I need to stay warm during these frigid summer months.
Mm-hmm.
What are we recording this on? August 15th?
Yeah.
August is halfway over already? Damn.
Yeah, we're cranking.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone, to your favorite sporadic video game podcast, that being Mobius Tubes. This is episode 66. What are you eyeing over there?
Oh, listen. It's not gone.
Oh.
All right. Well, I'll kill that before the next episode, hopefully.
You know, I don't think it'll get picked up too much.
Oh, and then cut to us getting dozens of letters being like, this would have been the best episode ever if it weren't for that cricket chirping.
It'll add to the episode's character.
I feel like our episodes have too much character, but that's just me.
Good news is you're now curse-free.
Yay! Well done. Well, wrap up that bit. Chris.
Yeah.
We've had plenty of time to consume entertainment.
It has been a while.
So how do you want to go about it? Should I just poop out the movies that I've seen so far, and then we can talk about games? Or do we lead with the stuff that you want to talk about?
Let's talk about some movies.
Okay, I saw The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Which is different from Suicide Squad, right?
Right, because if you want to restore confidence in the brand, just add a "the" in front of it. I'll start calling you the Chris in a matter of days.
I just found out there was a difference between the two yesterday. So
wow.
Please enlighten me.
Well, the difference is significant. The first movie, which you're already aware of, was not fun because they made it dark and gritty, and then they tried to add color to it, and that did little to rescue the film in theaters.
Literally add color, or what do you mean by that?
Yeah, literally add color.
Oh,
they would just like boost. If you look at the title splash screen at the end of the trailers, it was initially Suicide Squad, and then they made the text bright rainbow, and then they made the whole background bright rainbow, and it's just a sequence of the studio trying to save that project. But this is a different project. The Suicide Squad is definitely their crack at another version of this story with more levity, which is kind of what you want because it's such a silly concept. Villains who are expendable go on a mission that is more suited to their talents. It's not Superman, Iron Man, Hulk.
Right.
It's Captain Boomerang and Polka Dot Man.
And Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Some people like Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie's version of the character is the fun, ditzy, but also combat proficient supporting character.
Mm-hmm.
I can count the number of times I enjoyed the movie on one hand. It was the Harley Quinn kill combo hallway. Another moment with John Cena's character shooting a bunch of people. Everything to do with Polka Dot Man. And lastly, at the very end, because I'm going to spoil this because you're not going to see this movie. This is okay to spoil.
Is this like in theaters or streaming?
I saw it in IMAX.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I spent $21 on it, which is why I'm lampooning it so hard because I didn't get what I paid for.
Well, you can just skip ahead if you don't want to know the ending.
Sure,
but
skip ahead.
You go for it.
The villain of this movie, and this goes back to show how much closer to the mark they were. First Suicide Squad, the villain was an ancient Egyptian undead goddess with a giant green glowing heart.
I would not have guessed that.
That's the kind of mission that you actually send Superman to fix, not the Suicide Squad. This mission's villain was Starro the Conqueror, a starfish from space that mind controls people by opening its armpits, and little starfish come out and face hug your face, and you join the hive mind.
Okay.
It's a Godzilla-sized starfish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with a big eye in the center. That's the kind of villain that you go for. There was a funny moment where they managed to obliterate one of Starro's feet, let's call it.
Sure. Appendages.
Yeah. All of the citizens of this Latin American island that this story takes place on, all of the hive mind, because they have starfish on their heads, they all go like, ow, and them in synchronous. That made me laugh out loud. But that was it. This movie is as creative as it is derivative. You can see things coming a mile away. I didn't like the Amanda Waller CIA handler. She's such a big, tough lady, and then she ends up getting knocked out by the office intern, and then it's like, now we're gonna run the mission our way, because Amanda was so down for killing children, and it's like, all right, we are well past the exaggeration station. So first of all, I would not seek this out again, aside from just a few clips that I really enjoyed. If you want the big violence, big show, funny, haha. Oh, the jokes drag very long. There's a whole bit about a character named Weasel who's supposed to be like a rocket raccoon fun thing.
Okay.
But it's an intelligible, human-sized, furry being. And Pete Davidson's like, yo, what kind of dog is this? And everyone's like, it's not a dog, it's a weasel. He's a trained killer, basically. But like the derpy eyes, and it's like, I don't know, this might be a Rottweiler. I've seen they can get that size. And like that they push it to the limit. And that's in the first 10 minutes of the film. And that's indicative throughout. Oh, I also loved everything with Ratcatcher. That was a nice story, a nice arc between this girl who lost her father and this father whose daughter he didn't really want, and he's in prison, but she still looks up to him as a father figure. And that dilemma meshed beautifully on the bus ride to the club to get the scientist who locked up the starfish.
I'm sure it did.
In conclusion, don't bother with Suicide Squad unless you really like Justice League.
Yeah, all those DC fans out there.
Similarly, don't bother with The Lighthouse.
Oh, you've seen The Lighthouse.
I saw The Lighthouse.
I have vague interest in this movie. I have not seen it.
Well, you'll love it if you love a good Promethean allegory.
Okay. I thought it was a horror movie, but my mom was telling me it was a comedy.
That's pretty funny.
What is it? Pitch me on this film.
It's it's an abstract, avant-garde, David Lynchian, black and white character examination, fantasy focused, day in the life, fisherman's watch. David Pattinson. No, that's not his name, is it?
Okay.
Robert Pattinson.
There's a lot of descriptors.
Yes. So he is in charge of this lighthouse, keeping it lit so the ships don't crash into the land.
Yes, a lighthouse.
Yes,
I am familiar.
And he's an intern there. And the main lighthouse keeper is Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin.
Okay.
We love Willem Dafoe. And Willem Dafoe is just like a by-the-book, hypercritical, because there is no electricity. They pass the time by drinking a lot and smoking a lot and regaling each other with stories because it's just the two of them. And Robert will have hallucinations of like a mermaid washing up, and that'll be a straight up fantasy sequence, and it'll linger on shots of his face, and it is really just a film by filmmakers for filmmakers.
Okay.
The comedy aspect of it is how over the top the performances can get, and how it's kind of just like a mockery of their situation and the troubles that they have to go through, waiting for this shipment full of relief goods because they're only supposed to be there for 2 weeks. But then the storm washes in and it extends their stay and yada, yada. Yeah. So your mom is right in saying that it does have straight comedy in it. The same way a good play will have straight comedy in it. It's all performative. It all has to do with not necessarily the writing, but the characters. It is a horror movie. It's got straight up things that aren't happening in real life that you have to intuit what is actually going down.
They serve as metaphors?
The very end, the last three, yes, they do serve as metaphors. The very end, the last 3 minutes it's basically don't go in the basement, and then he goes in the basement.
Okay.
Yeah. Like Suicide Squad, I would not seek this out again or push this on anyone. As much as I love a good Promethean allegory, I'm glad it exists so I can point to something and be like, this is just like the Lighthouse.
I see. So you can use it as like a touchstone.
Yes. Yeah. Willem Dafoe is great in it. Don't insult his cooking. And that's all I'll say about the Lighthouse.
Okay. You haven't totally turned me off from it. It sounds interesting.
All right.
Maybe not like, man, what an enjoyable film, but maybe a film that will be memorable.
Did you ever hear about The Lobster?
No.
The Lobster is a film about a guy who's an incel who goes there because the program is all about finding you a date, and they treat it like an institutionalized place.
Okay.
I think I'm remembering that right. That plays into the exact same atmosphere and aesthetic. Well, maybe not the same atmosphere, because the Lighthouse is solitude and where your mind goes when it's understimulated. And the Lobster is like full of, it's closer to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Sorry, what did you say before I went off on that? Am I glad that this is a thing that exists? And
I was just saying this maybe doesn't sound like a nice, fun film to watch, but maybe something that'll stick with you or is pretty unique.
Yeah, I won't forget about it. There are people that I don't like that love this movie, and I can see why.
It's people you dislike, not you dislike their opinions.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's all the movies I saw, except for I watched less than 12 hours ago, The Day After Tomorrow again.
Again.
Yeah.
Which is funny for that film, right?
I guess.
Isn't that a time loop film?
No, it's a environmental disaster movie.
Oh, okay.
New York freezes over.
What am I thinking of? I think it's Tom Cruise.
You're thinking Day After Tomorrow.
What did you watch?
Oh, wait, no. I watched The Day After. Wait, what am I talking about?
What is going on?
I'm right. What's the Tom Cruise? Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. Okay.
I watched The Day After Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Which was a 2004 disaster movie, not with Tom Cruise, but with Jake Gyllenhaal, who you know from Nightcrawler. I don't know.
Okay.
No, you don't know him from Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is interesting. I'd watch Nightcrawler.
But what about Day After Tomorrow?
Day After Tomorrow. I mean, I watched this growing up. I was like 9 years old when it came out, and it's just a classic. Hurricane is freezing New York. We have to run from the big waves, and it demonstrates how hierarchy still exists even in the apocalypse.
Oh, okay.
Like the noble hobo who has been subsisting off garbage is the person that is able to find food when all the rich white class people are like, we're gonna starve because they don't know how to be resourceful.
Sure.
And then the police officer is like a man of authority, so when he says we gotta move before the storm gets worse, And Jake Gyllenhaal's character, whose dad is a scientist, is like, no, my dad told us to stay. We need to burn and hunker down. But then the majority of the people follow the cop because authority, and it's like, ooh, fascism and other things that have to do with race and bureaucracy, ignoring climate science. It is a classic mid-2000s look at the geopolitical landscape and social hierarchy. And it was also like my first boner ever.
Do tell.
There's a scene where Jake Gyllenhaal, the water is rising, but he had to swim over to the payphone. That's the last payphone that's working, so we can call scientist dad and get advice. He has to like gulp for air with his phone, and then the girlfriend is like, or not girlfriend yet, but is holding the flashlight so he can see where he's swimming and stuff. And she's like, get out of there, because the water's rising. The last bit of water fills the space. Moment of silence. Jake swims out like the hero he is. He made it out, but he's freezing because it's like super cold ice storm water. That's
Sure.
the coldest water there is.
Yeah.
And so to prevent him from getting hypothermia, they take all of his wet clothes off, and hero girlfriend wraps a big coat around him and hugs him.
Yeah.
And that awakened something in me where I was like, maybe I could hug a girl with no clothes off.
So you're saying the water wasn't the only thing rising?
Hey! And I told Bailey this while we were watching it, and she was like, oh, that's sweet.
Imagine that.
Yeah. I would recommend The Day After Tomorrow.
It seems like your movie watching has been pretty prolific lately. How about your game playing?
My game playing caused me to need to like lay down. It hurt so bad.
What?
I put on an Oculus headset.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Which model?
Quest
Okay.
2.
Quest 2? Yeah. That's the most recent Quest, I think.
Okay. It gave me a headache.
Okay.
And I was out of commission for a few hours.
Hours. Ooh.
Yeah, it bothered me. Either that or I got very coincidental food poisoning.
I assume it's safe to say it was the Oculus.
I was playing Myst.
Myst. Okay.
The mystery first-person explore the island point and click.
Yeah. Classic game.
And I was having a great time yucking it up with Bailey, trying to toggle all the puzzles and stuff. We didn't make it that far, number one, because it's a difficult puzzle game. But then number two is because, like, I was standing for the first half of it. And then I uttered, I need to sit down. And then I went cross-legged. And even that was just, my head was pulsing and my hearing was going a little bit. And I wouldn't call it nausea. I wouldn't call it motion sickness. No, I think I would call it nausea. I wouldn't call it motion sickness.
Okay.
Because I could handle it. No, actually, that's the whole point. I couldn't handle it. We stopped because I was dying slowly. And it bothered me until I woke up the next day.
Wow. All
Yeah,
right,
and I don't think it was game specific. I think it was just the headset, and I was wearing it properly.
Couple questions. In this version of VR Myst you were playing, was your movement with like an analog stick, or would you like point to location and kind of warp there?
No, it was analog movement.
Okay, you had freeform movement.
You could toggle the teleport.
But you weren't using it.
No, because I wanted to be a hero.
I see. I hear the warping teleport point to point is maybe better for motion sickness, better for nausea.
I don't think it was motion sickness.
Okay. It was just nausea.
Let me say the positives were when I first put on the headset and you go to like the settings home world, it's like it is genuinely mind blowing.
Yeah.
Planetarium style. Whoa. Yeah.
I've also only had one experience with VR. It was a PlayStation VR. It was cool.
It is cool. Even drawing the boundary of where it's safe to move is fun.
I played Job Simulator, and that was
I was
really
considering
cool.
buying that, yeah.
Where did you get your hands on an Oculus?
Bailey's family.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
They mess around with one?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I bought a bundle. It was Myst and Tetris Effect.
Ooh. I bet you could probably rock Tetris Effect and be okay.
Yeah, that'll be fine. But maybe I was putting too many hours on the clock just waiting for the thing to download with the headset on.
Oh.
And that might have hit the pressure points in the mask of my face for a good half an hour before I was actually in game, which may have reduced my stamina. But yeah, Oculus Quest, it's a cautionary tale, even for big, huge, strong men like me.
It really can vary from individual to individual. Just anecdotally, maybe as a point of encouragement for you, I've heard people do get their VR sea legs. It takes multiple tries.
Oh, the same way doctors will eventually stop fainting after the sight of blood or whatever.
Yeah, your brain will get habituated to it, but it might take longer for some people than others.
That's agony. Yeah. Oh man, I wouldn't even attempt doing that
Gotcha.
unless I was getting paid.
True.
That's the only game I played.
Man. I know you've been busy.
Did I play any other games? I uninstalled 1 million games on my MacBook so I could make more space for work.
That's almost like a game. Picking and choosing.
Data management.
Yeah.
I was dying. I wanted so bad to play Dead by Daylight.
New update? What's going on?
I mean, it's definitely been updated since the last time I spoke. There was a new killer called the Trickster and the Nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm even more familiar with the meta now, and I wanna flex on certain people.
Because you've been watching streams, that's what's got you familiar?
Correct. Yeah,
Cool.
It's great background noise.
I bet.
And I want to play Frostpunk again in anticipation.
Of the sequel.
Yeah.
Are we going to touch on that in the news?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. All right, cool. Haha. All right, well, I can pick up the torch you're passing me, the Olympic torch.
Is that still going on?
I'm not sure exactly.
Okay.
I think it's over.
I asked Bailey the same thing like 3 hours ago.
I've been playing games.
Yeah.
I've put together what I call the sci-fi special because I've played 3 games back to back that all coincidentally are very science fiction-y. So I'll just go in the order I played them. Here we go. We start off with Star Wars. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This is the game from Respawn, makers of Titanfall and more widely known Apex Legends.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Respawn. They haven't put out a bad game yet. And I dove into this Star Wars game from the context of I don't have that much affinity for Star Wars as a franchise.
So you should play Dark Souls.
Because there's some comparisons between these two games. I'll just say most of what I know from Star Wars comes from Lego Star Wars on the PlayStation 2. I played that game, and I've watched one Star Wars film, and that's it.
Wow.
So when I say that this game is very good, you can be confident that it's not my fandom speaking because I don't have a Star Wars fandom.
Right. You recognize that the music is always good.
Yeah, the music is quite iconic. So you play as this Jedi named
Name
Cal.
him. Yeah.
Cal Kestis.
Sure.
He's like an original character for the game. It's set between the prequels and like the original films, and
That's the best part.
that gray area. You're kind of dealing with the aftermath of Order 66. How appropriate that this is episode 66.
Hey.
And it's a 3D third-person Metroidvania game, I'd call it. It's very branching paths. It's not open world in the sense that you can pick any direction 360 degrees and go explore. There are meandering corridors, but at certain times your progress will get blocked because you need to go get a certain ability somewhere else, and then you can double back. Heavy amount of backtracking. That's a little tedious. The biggest criticism I have of the game is just that since it is such a exploration-heavy game, you're going to be pulling up the map pretty often.
Oh, is the draw distance insufficient?
No, the map is comprehensive, but convoluted. Just because it is a 3D game with a bunch of different varying levels of terrain and so many winding corridors, the map is like a labyrinthian maze when you pull it up.
Yeah.
It takes
Like
some mental
Doom.
effort to figure out where you're going. Like Doom?
Doom 2016's map is
Yeah.
also that
I
3D.
think that's a very good comparison.
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here, earning your paycheck.
How
Yeah.
much force pushing to avoid battles have you done?
So the force powers are there in full force. Haha. They're as fun as you would hope that they are. You can push people around. I especially like singling out a certain enemy in a group and like yanking him towards me so I can just finish him off real quick before his buddies arrive. That's peak satisfaction as far as I'm concerned. You can do some like time manipulation stuff, like freeze a guy in spot. So yeah, there's some cool hijinks to do with the Force. The lightsaber, I like the little details they put in to make it feel like a physical object in the game. The fact that there are frequently dark caverns to explore. So you have to like hold the lightsaber up as a light source to explore. That's cool.
Oh.
And it's never not fun reflecting blaster bolts back at stormtroopers.
Yeah.
That always feels good. Yeah, it takes a couple pages out of the Dark Souls book, the fact that you have stamina to manage the lock-on of a single enemy and kind of strafe around them. It's a poor man's From Software game. And I don't mean that as a big criticism, just that if it was on From Software's level, that would be quite the feat. So yeah, everything is quite solid. The story is nothing that's going to blow you away, but it's also consistently engaging. Couple little twists that I enjoy. Yeah, I just have to say there's not much to criticize, but there's also not much that you really want to stand up and applaud either. It's just a very solid, good game, but not a great game.
Okay.
Which is maybe just, it was a touch surprising to me because I found that Respawn, the developer, the Titanfall games I thought were quite innovative, both in multiplayer and single player. Well, this was just a video gamey ass video game. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel confident recommending it to people, especially if you do even like Star Wars just a little bit, because I feel like that would enhance the experience even more.
How much ludonarrative dissonance is there? Do you get told by Master Yoda that killing with the lightsaber is not a honorable feat?
That's not the Jedi way.
Yeah, that's not the Jedi way. Cut to like pew, laser combo, slice another droid, XP bonus, John Williams music. Da-da-da-da-da.
I mean, there is the standard video game thing where your protagonist, Cal, kills thousands of stormtroopers by the end of the game.
Yeah.
Just like,
but they're clones, so fuck it.
I don't think they're No, I don't think they're clones anymore.
What?
These are stormtroopers, right? Unless I don't know my Star Wars lore.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, you're fighting the Empire.
Okay, yeah. Those are recruits, yeah.
So yeah, you kill so many people. So that's some ludonarrative dissonance.
Is there a sequel?
I think there's a sequel in development.
Okay. Rising Order.
Could be, yeah. So yeah, definitely one big thumbs up for this game.
One big thumbs up. Okay.
All right, moving on to the second in my trilogy of sci-fi games. This one was promised.
Star Wars chess.
Is there an in-lore chess in Star Wars?
John Tron made a... Oh, yeah, well, yeah, they played that on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Chewbacca, yeah.
But it's not called chess, right?
No. You let Chewbacca win, otherwise he'll rip your arms off. Yeah, that's the joke in the film.
But no, I did not play hologram chess. I played Mass Effect.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm revisiting the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which you have not touched yet, right?
No.
All right, well, I can give you a sneak peek of what's to come.
I've been watching streamers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Mass Effect, this is maybe BioWare's best-known franchise?
Magnum opus?
I would call it the magnum opus. BioWare, acclaimed RPG developer, made this is their own proprietary sci-fi opera franchise. I say proprietary because BioWare was actually known in the early 2000s for making Star Wars RPGs with like Knights of the Old Republic.
And Knights of the Old Republic 2.
But then I think they lost the license, but they want to make more sci-fi games. So what's a fun universe we can do that? So they made Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Their people are biotics in Mass Effect, which is essentially
droids,
Force users.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's an amalgamation of a lot of sci-fi to make the Mass Effect universe. A universe I really enjoy. These are some of my favorite games, the original 3 at least. And I dove back in. It's been 9 years since I've played any of them. And I'm happy to say This isn't just like a straight port. It's not just an up-res and a frame rate boost. They went under the hood and did some heavy lifting to make these games a little more modern, especially Mass Effect 1, which is the only one I've played of this remaster so far. I beat Mass Effect 1, my least favorite of the three. It came out in 2007 originally. It's the most dated mechanically of the three. Mass Effect 1 has always felt to me like eating your vegetables before getting dessert. Because you want to play all three for a cohesive story. But there's definitely some pain points around that first game. And I'm happy to report Mass Effect 1 Legendary Edition is the best these vegetables have ever tasted. The gunplay feels better. I wouldn't say it feels great, but the HUD feels a lot more modern. Little tweaks like when you're shooting people, you actually get hitboxes and the reticle looks a little more normal. The game feel has been holistically improved. It makes it much less of a chore to play. The inventory management of Mass Effect 1 is infamous for being clunky and hellish. It feels so much better now. The Mako is this vehicle you drive around, which had the wonkiest physics in the first game.
And we kept those deliberately.
So floaty. Now you actually have some like tread on those tires. Thank goodness. So yeah, just so many quality of life improvements that make Mass Effect 1. It was always a good foundation to the series, but now it's a good foundation that you don't hate to play. So I'm so happy to report these changes. Also, I have to say, this is my first time playing Mass Effect 1, having finished the series. Going back to the first game with the context of what's to come, I have to say, I appreciate the first game more than ever. I think it did a really good job establishing these characters and establishing this franchise.
Who's your favorite? What's his name? Farkas?
Garrus?
Yeah.
I mean, Garrus, Rex, Tali, Liara, it's so hard to choose. The main appeal of Mass Effect for me is the characters, which I can't convey all the character development on this podcast. I can talk about the mechanics and the quality of life stuff, but it's the characters that are the heart and soul of the game. I mean, all of their performances are just, they remain intact. So that part, all of the lore and character building and stuff is all as good as it's ever been. So Mass Effect is still great. For a 14-year-old game, it held up way better than I thought it was going to. And some of that is because of the Legendary Edition changes. And I am jumping out of my seat. I can't wait to play Mass Effect 2 and 3 and report back on those as well. And I can't wait to hear what you think.
What do I think? I really ought not have done this, but I already saw the one where the guy's father kept everyone at the crash site and didn't boot up the beacon and would like hog the rations and made everyone eat the gross food that made them all drones and such.
Is this a Mass Effect 2 mission?
Is it Mass Effect 2?
It's sounding like one of your squad mates' loyalty missions, but maybe you're talking about something else.
The squad mate's father, who's voiced by what's your character in The Walking Dead Telltale? Lee. Same voice actor as Lee.
Okay.
I recognize
I
that.
think that's sounding a lot like Jacob's loyalty mission.
Yeah, it's Jacob's loyalty mission.
Okay, that's Mass Effect 2.
I saw
that's
that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's kind of a one-off thing, so you haven't really spoiled yourself too much. That's a good mission.
I also know the fish man who can't breathe oxygen, and so he's like slowly dying.
Oh, Thane.
Thane's pretty cool.
Thane is pretty cool.
But also, like, just go home, and then you'll live, right?
I forgot what his deal was with his terminal illness.
They trained him to be an extraterrestrial assassin.
Right.
But, like, just wear a mask, dude. Because he'll die if he continues breathing in the not air, right?
Yes, he has some kind of chronic issue.
It makes no sense.
All right, well, maybe if you dive in, it'll make more sense.
I hear you can change Thane's cosmetics to look really goofy.
Really?
You can put sunglasses on him and stuff. You should do that when you get to.
I can't wait to re-meet those characters.
Is the collector in 1 or 2?
2.
Okay. I guess I saw a bunch of 2.
2 is my favorite. It'll be interesting to see if it's still my favorite after I play through the whole thing.
When do you get the Force Blitz?
Force Blitz.
Just like the rushing.
Oh, gotcha. I think that's introduced in 2.
Well, you turn into a blue man and jump.
That is only for the Vanguard character class. So Mass Effect has 6 classes.
Oh.
I coincidentally am playing as a Vanguard this time, so I'm going to get to try that out. I've never used it. My first OG playthrough back in the day was as a soldier, which is maybe the most vanilla class. So I'm excited to see what the weirder, more niche classes are like.
Yeah.
So can't wait for that. Makes it much more of an action game, I would assume. Okay, so that was Mass Effect. And now, to round out the sci-fi special, this is the main event, Heath. This is what we've been waiting for.
I'm trying to
Because
think.
I am in the middle of 13 Sentinels.
Yay! Whoa!
I'm in the thick of it, dude.
Oh, no.
So this is this game.
So glad.
So glad that it's me who's playing it.
I intend to play it because it has had the most praise ever, and I've eschewed so many spoiler casts.
I don't know. Surely if you finish the game, you could spoil it. I don't know what I could say that could spoil anything right now.
Right.
So this is the full title of the game is 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
Yeah.
This comes from Vanillaware, just a small Japanese developer who makes stuff like Dragon's Crown.
It is a turn-based but real-time strategy game.
Yeah,
It is a soft real-time.
it's funny that you describe it as a strategy game because that was going to be my addendum to this conversation. Just like the closing thoughts. Because
It's inconsequential.
it's not the reason you play 13 Sentinels.
You play it for the digital novel.
You play it for the plot, the visual novel components. So, part of me wonders.
What's your favorite schoolgirl character?
Part of me wonders if the developers made this game to try to set like a Guinness World Record for how many sci-fi tropes they could cram into one story.
Yeah, Terminator, other ones.
They are throwing everything and the kitchen sink at you. So like in the opening hours, you've already seen aliens, giant fighting mechs, time travel, alternate dimensions, witches, government cover-ups, shadow organizations, androids, contracts with the devil.
Yeah.
All of this is in there. To call this plot ambitious is kind of like an understatement.
I'm so glad that you're corroborating everything I've heard.
All of this, I'm going to get into a little bit more. Before I would even call this a sci-fi game, first and foremost, I'd call this a mystery game.
Oh.
It is partially just the amount of content that's being thrown at you kind of is a lot to juggle in your head and try to make sense of. Also, the method of storytelling is almost arbitrarily confusing because, first of all, it's told to you out of chronological order.
Right.
So that's one wrinkle.
Yeah, you'll have a girl in the early 2000s, and then you'll jump to 1940.
Yeah, back into World War II.
Or is it World War One?
1940s is World War II. Yeah,
I know, but like, okay.
It is the 1940s. You were right.
All right.
Any story outside of chronological order, that's going to be a certain level of complexity. Second of all, as the game's namesake implies, there are 13 protagonists in this game, each of which gets about an equal amount of screen time as one another.
That's nuts.
And you can jump around between them at will.
With few exception.
With a couple guardrails. Like maybe if you keep just, for whatever reason, you just love Juro and you keep selecting Juro over and over again. Eventually,
Juro is my jam.
Eventually you hit a progress blocker that says you need to proceed with these other characters before you can return to Juro.
Yeah.
So you've got 13 characters plus the not inconsequential supporting cast to keep track of in your head, each of which... So it's kind of up to you whose story you see when. So it's not even being told.
And that matters.
That matters because you'll have different contexts at different parts of the story. And that's the developer, Vanillaware, can't guarantee what you've seen at any given points because in addition to not being chronological, it's also not a linear story because you, the player, are deciding what you see when based on which protagonists you're selecting. Whew. So the story is complex, and the method of storytelling is about as complex as that could be as well.
It's gorgeous.
Visually, the presentation is amazing. It's this 2D side-scrolling game with hand-drawn art aesthetic, very painterly. It looks great. Vanillaware is known for making pretty games, and that applies here.
They're also known for making horny games.
They are also known for making horny games. And I have to say, it's not too bad with the exception of one character.
Okay.
One character is distractingly over-sexualized. And the weird part is it's not even like acknowledged. No one mentions it.
They're like, man, you need to tone it down.
It's not plot relevant. It's totally superfluous.
Yeah.
It does not need to be there. I wish they didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even like part of her personality. She just looks that way. So that's a bit of a drawback. Where was I?
You're halfway through?
I would ask. I'm a dozen hours in.
Okay.
I'm probably around the 30 to 40% mark.
Yeah.
It is. So here's what I'll say. As a person who likes stories, I really like mysteries. And almost universally, I enjoy mysteries when I'm in the thick of it, when I'm kind of in the dark.
Into the thick of it.
I'm being fed this drip feed of breadcrumbs that I'm just gobbling up. Nom, nom, nom. It's like
drawing your own conclusions.
Yep, coming up with theories. It's like my lizard brain can't help but be engaged by, more information keeps trickling in. So I almost universally like mysteries. But what makes me appreciate a mystery in the long term, when a mystery has staying power for me, it all comes down to how well the closure is. What's the payoff like? How well does the mystery nail the landing? Did all of the setup pay off? And that's where I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if 13 Sentinels is going to stick the landing.
Spoiler.
Uh-huh.
It must. The only reason we're talking about this is because it's one of the best games ever made.
If it does stick the landing, then it probably will be one of my favorite games. But it's just, this game is juggling so many balls in the air.
Yeah.
It's so ambitious. I feel like there's a chance it's bitten off more than it can chew. I'm skeptical.
Need to find a way to play this.
I'm skeptical. I don't know if it can. I'd love to be proven wrong, but it's just so much going on. Not to mention, consuming the game is particularly addicting because since you are potentially jumping around between 13 different perspectives, that means at any given time, you could be waiting for the payoff on 13 different cliffhangers because each character's chapter ends on like a punch, like a cliffhanger.
Right.
And you want to dive back in right away, but there's like a dozen other cliffhangers you want to dive back into as well.
It's like a punctuated, like you said, drip feed of information that's just factory designed to keep you playing.
It is. It's like this game was made by a team of social psychologists that was just like, how compelling can we make storytelling? And they pumped out this game.
Wow.
Now,
the strategy components.
We'll talk about the strategy component because that's like 20 to 30% of this game. It's not nothing. Like you said, it's this high. Occasionally, you will go into a strategy battle where the characters from the story are piloting mechs and you have to fight off some invaders. And the battles unfold in real time. So you're on the clock, but you can like pause the action at any moment to issue commands. So while it's technically real time, in practice, it more plays like a turn-based game.
Right.
That's what you were alluding to. I've heard nothing but negativity around this part of the game. And I have to say, while it's not the reason I'm playing, I think it's better than people have given it credit for.
Okay.
It's not a bad strategy game. You have this squad of guys. Anytime one of your characters takes an action, they get put on like a cooldown clock before they can do anything. So you're trying to like eke out as much efficiency out of each character's activation as possible to like do as much damage to the enemy. There's positioning to take into account. There are different classes of mechs. Certain characters will be like an all-rounder, while some specialize in close combat, and some are long range, some are support. So coming up with that team balance is cool, the positioning is cool, the time management is cool. like I said, it's not. I wouldn't recommend the game solely for the strategy
It's
component.
no Into the Breach.
It's no Into the Breach, but I think it's a competently made strategy game. I am not upset when I have to play a strategy fight. I would slightly prefer to be in the storytelling mode.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's just a symptom of the storytelling is so good that people can't help but resent the strategy part. I think that's the issue.
That can't be helped.
That can't be helped.
Because we're dealing with freaking 5-star storytelling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 13 Sentinels in a nutshell. You can't play it casually because there's so many characters. You need to remember what each of them is up to. It doesn't help that a couple of the characters have very similar character models. This story takes place in Japan, so names can be a little tough to remember.
Oh, boy. I have a hard enough time with Persona 5 characters.
You've got to keep your Yukis from your Megumis straight.
Yeah. You say that, and I definitely suffer from that. But I watched Tim Rogers' review of Tokimeki Memorial so many times in the background that I can recite like Shiori Fujisaki and Megumi and all of those.
Okay.
Japanese names are hard.
It's just a small barrier to entry because we're
Anglophones.
Yeah, this wouldn't be an issue if we were native Japanese speakers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in conclusion, 13 Sentinels, I'm having a blast with it so far, and I'm concerned that it nails the landing. But I don't know one way or the other.
You're apprehensive.
I'm apprehensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was everything I've been playing.
Man, dude, I gotta play Mass Effect in its entirety before I can play 13 Sentinels. I have such a backlog. It's enormous.
Good thing September you said your life gets back to normal.
I go on vacation. Yeah, my job gets sort of back to normal in September, and then I go on vacation early October, and then we'll see where we are from there.
All right, we had like a 50-minute what have we been playing / watching segment. What do you say we take a break and come back with the news?
Back from the break.
And we're back. Heath, there's a lot of news we could cover. I'm interested in what you're interested in talking about.
I want to talk about...
This doesn't have to be an extended conversation, but since we last spoke on the podcast, a lot of news has been released for handheld gamers.
The Steam Deck?
Steam Deck and new Nintendo Switch model.
Oh, yeah.
Which... It's funny how one has totally obscured the other. I guess this is old news by now, but there's a new model of the Nintendo Switch coming out. It's the Switch OLED.
Yeah.
People were disappointed that it wasn't the heavily rumored Switch Pro, but those disappointments were alleviated shortly after when Valve announced the Switch Pro, shortly after, that being the Steam Deck.
You're a big fan of the Steam Deck.
I'm awfully interested in it. Just to put a bow on the Switch OLED, it's basically right there in the name. It has a nicer screen on it, a little nicer speakers, and like a more robust kickstand to prop it up. All features that would be useful for a portable game player with the Switch. As someone who uses it docked 99% of the time, this does nothing for me.
Right.
Totally irrelevant. But the Steam Deck is very different. Tell the listeners about the Steam Deck, Heath.
The Steam Deck is Valve's handheld option for playing games in your Steam library. It's got the same type of screen in the center, controller, hand grips on the sides. I don't know if they're not removable.
No, they're not removable.
No, which might be inconsequential to some, especially since you would never play it docked. You would just play it on you play your Steam games on your computer. The Steam Deck, first of all, it's affordable.
It's affordable if you're comparing it to other entry points to the PC market. Yeah.
Yes, and it supposedly meets decent specs.
Yeah. It's hard to comment on that specifically, but it does seem like a pretty powerful machine.
But the main selling point is that you can already play the games that you currently own.
Yes. Your whole Steam library is supposedly compatible and ready to go from launch day.
I already own dozens of games on this system.
Some of us own hundreds. Which that's huge.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't have to spend another $60 on Animal Crossing to get it.
buying the Steam Deck just gives your already existing library even more utility. Yeah, like you said, it has the same form factor as a Switch for the most part. It's just a bit bigger and a bit heavier because it is a more powerful machine. Have you seen the control layout? When I first saw that
Beefier.
the analog sticks were
They're not
on
haptic
the
discs.
inside of the buttons, that threw me for a loop. But all of the impressions I've heard from videos on YouTube, people say it's ergonomically comfortable.
Yeah.
So I'll just take their word for it.
Yeah. I didn't think twice about it.
Infamously, the Wii U gamepad had sticks in very weird positions. I was wondering if it was going to be a similar situation, but I guess not. Because you know how on your controller the sticks are below the buttons?
Maybe on a PlayStation.
So on the Xbox controller, one of those sticks is well below the buttons.
Yeah.
What was egregious about the Wii U was that
They were
the
both
sticks,
above.
both sticks were above the buttons. And now what's happening on the Steam Deck is that they are in line with the buttons.
Good.
Good. Okay. Yeah, I supposedly it's pretty comfortable to use.
Chris, stick geography. This is a new idea in my thought cabinet.
Really?
Yeah.
I am so habituated to the sticks being pretty much below the buttons.
But this stick is like, okay.
For PlayStation, they're both below. I guess for the Xbox, you're right. One of them is kind of in
I've
line.
never owned a Sony console. That's the only reason why this is
Okay.
This is not triggering.
I see. I would assume for the audience out there, this is triggering for some and not for others. All right, that's enough
Clickety
hubbub about that.
Oh yeah. Oh the stick. Listen to this.
Hey, you want to hear something surprising?
Hey.
My girlfriend Alexis pre-ordered the Steam Deck.
Oh, that makes perfect sense because now she can play Persona.
She can play Persona 4 Golden. That's on Steam.
That's why it took so long to say, is because I already knew the answers. Yeah,
Yeah, she likes to
great.
play games portably. She's been wanting to play some PC games, and this is like a dream come true for her.
Sold. Me, on the other hand, I can barely play games on my system.
Right.
And I don't use public transit.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I don't have a use case for using this portably. If I did, however, then it would be very appealing to me.
Yeah. And I'm no longer in college, so I can't do it during university. It's like
Right.
lectures.
Right. And another pro of this thing is if you're carrying it around with you and you run an HDMI cord from it to a monitor, it can work on a monitor.
Ooh.
You can plug a mouse and keyboard into it. It's essentially a small laptop.
Ooh. Very interesting.
And you can run applications that aren't just Steam. You can open a web browser. It can be a very portable little PC for you. I think by default
I can play Friday Night Funkin' on my Steam Deck.
you could.
Beep boop.
By default, I think it's installed with Linux, but you can, if you want to.
Oh, weird.
If you want to be technical, you could probably boot Windows on
Who
that.
invented Linux?
I think
Valve?
it's,
That's right.
It's not Valve.
Yep,
It's
I'm
open
sorry.
source, right?
Okay. Has Alexis ever used Linux?
I don't know the
The
answer.
answer
to
is
that.
no. No one's used Linux. Have you used Linux?
I've used Linux.
What are you? Oh.
I mean, I am a software engineer.
My YouTube recommended one day sent me, I'm a Linux user and I don't have a search engine. And then I don't get the joke, but I don't get the joke.
That's fine. You don't need to.
Oh my God.
Moving on.
Because all they did was just something in terminal and it's like, now they got it.
Right.
It's annoying. Steam Deck 1 thumbs up.
1 thumbs up.
Just like Star Wars Fallen Order.
Nice.
Mass Effect Trilogy, 2 thumbs up.
Oh, yeah.
13 Sentinels, 3 thumbs up.
And Alien, 3 thumbs up.
Yeah. Moving on to the next news.
Yes. I have more news, but I'll give you the first.
Oh, wait. Did we poop on the OLED enough?
I mean, it's another Switch.
Yeah. What was the
screen.
Switch Pro supposed to be? 1080p minimum.
No, people were thinking the Switch Pro, if
1440?
if you dock it, they thought it was going to go output 4K.
Oh.
But the Switch OLED has identical internals to a regular Switch.
Which is why, you didn't even, you blinked and it didn't change.
Right.
Noted. Okay. All right. Well, that's all there is to that.
Did you have news you wanted to jump in with?
Remind me of what news that I'm clearly...
All right. Well,
Frostpunk 2?
Yeah. Hit us with Frostpunk 2.
Hey, I made a joke about Frostpunk because I've been playing it years after its release and said that I was interested in the sequel, and I basically willed the sequel into existence.
Yeah, very shortly after you mentioned it.
In addition to coal, Frostpunk 2 will be making use of oil.
I saw the trailer.
And I'm going to be looking like Daniel Plainview on day 1. Daniel Plainview was a character in There Will Be Blood, played by Daniel Day-Lewis. That was one of his Oscars. He's an oil man, and it gets very dirty in the very beginning minutes of the film.
And that's going to be you.
2, yeah, that's going to be me. Frostpunk 2, oh man. I hope it looks different. I hope it's not just generator in the center, radial grid.
There's only so many ways you can portray a frozen wasteland.
What? Tell that to... I mean, yeah, what you say is true. It's gonna look very similar, but the UI was easy to do. I wish I could do more hotkeys for road building, but I think those are already in place. And then navigating among the 5 different workshops to figure out which one has the overtime shift that's causing greater discontent. Oh man, Frostpunk 2 is gonna slap. If there's like a complete edition on day 1, I might splurge for that. I typically don't buy complete editions.
No.
Fallout 4, I didn't get the one with the fun hat. Call of Duty, I didn't get the one with the RC car. Frostpunk 2, I would buy a chunk of ice that I have to chisel the game out of for a physical copy. Sell me more of this stuff. I will buy a barrel of oil. That's that news.
Nice. We only have that cinematic trailer to go off.
Oh, yeah, it's not going to come out this year.
No release date. Trailer just said add to your wish list now.
Yeah, which is what I tried to do.
Tried and did not succeed?
I tried it. I mean, I didn't. I got as far as the store page. It's free? It's free on here too?
What is?
Frostpunk. What?
What? Maybe it's like a free weekend? Let's see.
Yeah, view page.
I didn't know you were born in 1974.
I look extra young. Oh,
it's a limited time.
A limited time offer. All right. So there's that. 11-bit Studios is one of my favorite developers now. I didn't see this trailer.
Wait. We just had this whole conversation without you watching the trailer?
Yeah.
I watched the trailer.
Oh, I mean, I just sent you that link, and then I went back to being an adult.
Okay.
And my wish list. I mean, it's going to look like the same type of...
This is how I knew about the oil.
This is very, very tame. I mean, I saw this screenshot.
Okay.
Yay, Frostpunk 2. The font has changed. It's no longer as gothic, which is a good choice. I like the very narrow tops of the lettering. That's very Nordic.
Ah, yes.
Shut up. Yes. Anyway.
Okay. I've got a fun little segment here. It's going to start with calling you out. Here we go. This is Witcher Roundup news.
Oh, no.
So, this first thing isn't really a news story. It was just a...
Gwent coming to Steam Deck.
A very amusing comment Alexis pointed out to me. She listens to the show.
What, has it been 100 days since I said I was going to play it?
She's aware of our ongoing bet you have to play The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
She pointed out an amusing observation to me that in the time since you have lost the bet and to play Witcher 3, in the ensuing timeline, she has went through and read 1, 2, 3 Witcher novels, watched the Netflix Witcher show, played and completed Witcher 2, and is now further than you into The Witcher 3. She's currently playing it. So she just wanted to make that known.
Look, we can't all have the superhuman strength of, I was going to say Khal Drogo. What's Witcher's name?
Geralt?
Geralt of Rivia.
Yeah, Khal Drogo, popular Witcher character.
Look, I too watched the show.
Yeah.
So we can't just write, and I put more hours into one than she did.
She's probably put more hours into one than you. She didn't finish one, but she gave it an earnest attempt.
I glossed over 2, and she beat it.
She beat it.
Look, I'd be happy to jump right back in where I left off if someone can tell me how to turn my swords not red.
You have to repair them.
I went to a blacksmith, and he's like, look at all this armor.
You need to buy a repair kit.
Repair kit.
All right, get that out of the way.
Congratulations to her.
Yeah, she's flexing on you. Oh, this came out of the blue. I was not aware of this. By the time our listeners can listen to this episode,
it'll be September.
Netflix is releasing a Witcher movie. It's animated.
Oh.
It's called Nightmare of the Wolf. It's coming out August 23rd. It looks pretty cool. It's about Vesemir.
Interesting.
It's a movie, just one and done, 2 hours or so. And yeah, I'm going to totally check that out.
Yeah. All you Witcher fans, Merry Christmas.
So that's just a PSA. And finally, this might be a little more substantial. We could have a conversation about this.
Oh, that's what we're here for.
This is pretty cool. Cool to think about, at least. And this is not breaking news. This is from April of this year. So, Witcher 3, big popular game, big RPG. Unsurprising, it has a pretty active modding community. People put in new content. You can give Geralt a fun beard hairstyle or something.
Yeah.
Some modders are put in some more substantial work. And in April of this year, a modder who goes by the username Nikich340, he put out this new quest of his making called A Night to Remember. It was a modest success. It has like 13,000 downloads or so. Pretty unremarkable, except for the fact in this new content he made for the game, which utilizes existing characters because, you want your quest to have some sort of story and acting.
Yeah.
To flesh out this new original content he made, he turned to an AI program called... what's it called?
To auto-generate Geralt's voice. Copyright violating.
You're right on the money, Heath. There's software he used called Cyber Voice. This is software that can kind of like... It's analogous to a deep fake. It can mock out voice acting.
Yeah, they did this with Joe Rogan.
Right. Assuming there's enough wealth of content data to pull from, that being the
hundreds of hours
of Geralt's dialogue,
which
in The
we're
Witcher
building,
3, which we're kind of building on this podcast for our voices. He was able to feed the hundreds of thousands of lines Doug Cockle, Geralt's voice actor, has spoken across multiple Witcher games into this software and created a nearly indistinguishable replication of the voice that he could tell to say whatever he wanted, which he just used to flesh out his original quest.
This is a night to remember.
Yeah.
I'm Doug Cockle.
He put together a little trailer for this quest. I watched it. It challenged you. Like, can you pick out which lines here are from the OG game and which ones did I generate?
And then turns out they're all generated.
They were not all generated.
Oh, that would have been the
but
best.
I had a pretty abysmal failure rate at guessing which was which.
Okay.
And that's from a big fan of... I've listened to Doug Cockle's performance for hundreds of hours.
Nikich 305.
Yes, 340.
Sure. Should do a post-credits apology to Doug Cockle through the cyber voice, "Hey, Doug, it's Geralt. I'm sorry I made use of your likeness without asking for permission." Or did I?
It's not his likeness, it's his performance.
Nothing personal. That's what should have been done. And I when I play through The Witcher: A Night to Remember after hundreds of hours of Witcher 3, that's what I hope to find.
So I don't know if this is the first instance of this happening. Probably not. But for whatever reason, the articles that were written about this story rightfully pointed out some people who earn their livelihood as voice actors are concerned about this.
No, they need not be.
You don't think so?
Because you need to be a good voice. Okay,
So this is the conversation we're going to have.
This is a good one.
And I feel like I have a nuanced opinion on it. Maybe that's arrogant. But so here's the thing. Companies, they have to spend a lot of money to make games, and they have to spend a lot of money to employ voice actors to sit in a recording booth for hundreds, if not thousands of hours, hammering out the amount of dialogue required for a video game, which for a narrative-focused game is a lot of dialogue, more than a movie. That costs a lot of money. You know what doesn't cost a lot of money? Running an AI you already developed to just do it for you. The AI, to be fair, it produces stronger performances for more prolific voice actors, for people who have a larger body of work for it to pull from.
Right.
That's where it's going to be best at replicating. So if you're a small-time voice actor, this probably doesn't make you redundant. This makes the big people in the video game voice acting industry, the people who command the highest pay rates, they are the ones who ought to be concerned about this. First of all, their prices are highest because they're known for their work.
Yeah.
But their work is also most easy to replicate. So this gets into both
Troy Baker
and Nolan North.
Steve Bloom should be sweating. And here's the best part is they produce a video in which they expressing their apprehension about this, and somebody adds that to the library of sound files to mimic and be like, "Oh yeah, I was missing a lamented sigh from one of those guys
right.
to feed into the AI machine."
Or they just have the AI machine pump out a statement that's the exact opposite, endorsing it.
Yeah. On second thought, I think this is great use of technology. The future is so bright. I'm Troy Baker.
Yeah.
That's funny and dark.
So this is weird. This leads into a larger conversation about automation in general.
Yeah.
And I had to think about this for a while, because on the one hand, I'm like, hey, we could make games more quickly using this technology. There could be more games. But also, we're hurting a whole industry of voice actors by doing this. And where I'm currently at, after thinking about it for a while, is I wonder if this kind of misses the point. Automation is tremendously useful for eliminating the drudgery of modern life that no one wants to do. That's great. But when we automate out pieces of our life that people are passionate about, have we jumped the shark and missed the point? Because people are passionate about stories and storytelling, of which giving a voice acting performance is just one medium of storytelling. People love to perform. Performers love to perform, presumably. Yes, it also pays them a livelihood. But do we want to live in a world where an AI gives us our performances when there are people lining up, happy to perform and want to do that with their time? That seems self-defeating to me. Where, just to different example, chess and Go, abstract strategy games, have kind of been cracked recently with the latest AlphaGo algorithms. So if we want to see Go played at top levels, we would just pit one instance of an AlphaGo algorithm against another AlphaGo algorithm and watch it compete and
duke it out.
But then the point of playing Go is to be an enjoyable pastime for people, right? Just because we have a better alternative, didn't we just defeat the purpose of Go by
Chris,
doing that?
I've tuned into 100 Civ Battle Royale algorithm fight narrated by one such YouTube channel that was like, "Ooh, Mongolia got wiped early in the game. That's gonna change everything." I've tuned into at least 2 of those videos.
Yeah.
So the enjoyment is not lost when you do an AI versus AI thought experiment.
Sure. What I'm saying
But
is,
does that defeat the purpose?
what I'm trying to say is the act of performing a story or playing chess or Go, for many people, those acts are intrinsically pleasurable. They're enjoyable. So the fact that we could automate them doesn't mean we should automate them if there are people who are happy to do it.
This is getting into macro scale hedonism.
Macro scale hedonism.
Right? Because what if someone really derives a lot of pleasure from operating a toll booth? That shouldn't influence our decision in gutting this so we can have easy pass across the state.
I don't know. My argument is I don't think there's a soul alive who gets immense satisfaction out of operating a toll booth.
Okay, but and you're saying for that reason, my point is invalid.
It'll take one person to prove my statement wrong. But
what about waiters and people who serve you food at a restaurant getting butthurt over those vending machines in Japan that just dispense hot meals?
I guess here's the question. Are they butthurt because they had a passion for taking repetitive orders, or did they have a passion for getting paid?
Right. Same with the toll booth people. They mostly did it to get paid.
Because this is where I feel like UBI comes in. If their qualms is in
UBI.
Universal Basic Income.
Oh, here we go.
If their qualms is just I no longer have a livelihood to sustain myself versus
I enjoyed doing this and it was
really
robbed from
enjoyed
me.
putting up with abusive customers and taking orders day in and day out.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to believe it's the loss of income that their issue is with.
Yeah, okay.
Which could be alleviated through other means.
So back to the latter. Back to the
voice
thought
actors.
of do we rob an industry's worth of people of their life's work in order to get Disco Elysium full voice acted? And I say yes.
I think this voice automation does have a place, though.
In no.
Game dialogue is so verbose, and there are large chunks of game dialogue that I feel is there purely for function and not the form. I'm talking about the combat quips your character will yell out in the thick of battle. I'm talking about...
I think that enemy got the point. You know that, ProZD? Yeah.
I do know.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when you...
Which is funny because he's a prolific voice actor.
He is. I'm talking about when you walk up to the street vendor and say, show me your wares.
And he's like, business is booming. And then 10 hours later, business is booming.
Right. There's a lot of dialogue that gets recorded for pure function and not for plot relevance or emotional resonance.
Put the bot on that.
That would be a good candidate for this AI to just do all the heavy lifting on.
But don't replace Sora's lines.
Sure. Okay. Don't replace Sora's lines.
Replace that whole game.
I feel like there are elements of voice acting that for video games that are kind of drudgery.
Do you know how easy it would be to replace Sora's lines?
The
darkness within me can be light. Just there's still hope in Mr. Potato Head.
So if we took all the boring dialogue out, had the AI do that, and freed up the time for the real voice actors to do scenes with weight and importance behind them, I feel like that could be a happy medium, maybe.
What if you made a mod in Portal and you used an AI to do GLaDOS's voice, who is a voice actor pretending to be an AI. That'd be the ultimate FU, is to put an AI on a voice actor being an AI to extenuate the performance.
You could just say, well, the AI's qualifications were just a much better fit.
Oh, that's extra. My brain just just ogles at that.
This might
Anyway.
be outside of the scope of this show, Heath.
What?
But
you talking about?
leaving the morals
I got a
behind.
5 in BC. What are you talking about?
Oh, I was going to introduce a new point. But leaving the legality aside and the morality aside, just philosophically, should we value the performance of an AI less than a human's inherently?
No.
Like, let's say you go to an art museum of paintings and you're like, one of the paintings in this exhibit was AI crafted. The rest were human labors of love.
Mm-hmm.
Does that AI generated painting have less worth than the human? Yes or no? And I don't think there's a clear answer.
I can tell you this. Let's substitute painting for rap battle.
Rap battle, okay.
That's just so it registers more in my mind. I would say that an AI, despite having all the advantages of a lexicographical volume of words to go from, if you could write an AI rapper to perform in a rap battle against a human being,
Yeah.
and beat the human being in wordplay, just rhetoric,
Rhythm.
and less so rhythm, but just I could imagine a lesser human rap battler dropping some lines that are fine and tepid, and then to have an AI come back at them with some scalding lines and wordplay of which I would think of only coming from like the best lyricists. I would lose my mind. I would download that on my iPhone rather than the human being's discography.
I see.
I would put the AI like you would see that on YouTube recommended, like robot rapper roasts da baby in latest cypher, and for good reason. I would so quickly value the works of this machine over the works of a human being if it were quality. And that's easy for me to make that distinction, as opposed to like this oil painting versus this oil painting.
And I can see where you're coming from. That makes sense to me. I would not feel compelled to download the Losers rap album onto my iPhone.
Instead of 8 Mile, you have 13.6 kilometer.
Going back to the painting example.
Ah,
And there's the human painting on the left
Yeah.
and the AI painting on the right.
sure.
I think to myself, why did the human decide to paint this scene? What was the emotion behind it?
Because it spoke
And
to
then
them.
there's maybe some like nuanced answer behind
It
that.
spoke to them, yeah.
Yeah. And then I asked myself, why did the AI make this painting? And the answer is just because someone clicked render.
Right. Right, yeah.
So
But I think both can be true.
So one painting, the AI could be like technically more proficient, but there wouldn't be any meaning behind it.
How is that different from my example? Clicking render,
Render the song lyrics.
clicking render on your painting, and maybe like the little brush comes out and it goes.
Right.
And that's soulless. Whereas taking the verses from your rap battle opponent, feeding it into the machine, and clicking execute,
Right.
clicking kill him,
Yeah.
and then reciting what comes out, indistinguishable. It's not a robot. It's not a Stephen Hawking voice.
Right. It's a human voice.
Yeah. Maybe and that being awesome.
I guess part of it would be like, why did you attend this rap battle in the first place? Did you come to see which lyrics on a piece of paper are more fire? Or did you come to see the mettle of a person thinking on the spot and how innovative they can be? Because if you came to see that competition...
I do. Much like Watson on Jeopardy.
Much like Watson on Jeopardy.
Yeah. Look at this robot answer questions just as good as the humans.
Because I think it ceases to be a competition if it's a foregone conclusion that this super AI is always going to spit the more fire lyrics.
Not necessarily.
I mean, given enough time and enough technological advancement.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. If we got there. Right. Ooh. Okay. This is the important distinction. A human being and an AI could paint. They've reached the common threshold, arguably, from my eye.
Sure.
AI is not there yet in hip-hop lyricism. And you're saying once we get there, won't the novelty lose its luster?
Right. You know, when the human rapper throws down, they're going to get blown out of the water. They don't have a chance.
Yeah.
At that point,
that's unimaginable.
Unimaginable.
I mean, I'm sounding like motor vehicles. That'll never happen. But the thought of writing a program that can generate lyrics that are clever and sophisticated in an instant, rather than having dozens of hours of render time, that's the furthest goalpost I can think of. That's pretty short-sighted. But
I mean, you're right. It sounds implausible, but it's not impossible.
We'll populate Mars before that happens.
Because to me, it has the appeal of watching. It's kind of the appeal of watching a game of tic-tac-toe. Because
then my comparison is so lost on you. It's okay. Maybe it has less to do with the competition aspect of it.
Okay.
So here's a task that humans can do better currently 100% of the time.
Right.
There's no AI currently that can. There are AIs currently that can paint better than the average human being.
Right.
And there are AIs that can answer questions on Jeopardy better than the average human being. There is, and so my brain went to, what's a task that an AI can't do better than a human being? Mm-hmm. And my question was like, does that invalidate the performance of the human being at that level? And I guess I'm saying no, because that it's unattainable, and when it becomes attainable, maybe my answer will change.
I see. I feel like that's fair.
Replacing voice actors with a soulless substitution,
yes,
is a moral dilemma, or excuse me, not moral, philosophical.
I feel like there's a moral angle and a philosophical angle and a legal angle too.
Yeah, well, my first thought was the legal thing, which is why I wanted the post credits apology.
Right.
Philosophically, it bothers me a little bit, and that's why my brain jumps to, well, what wouldn't bother me at all? Hence the rapper angle. Yeah.
Okay. It's a heady question to tackle,
because I would boo a human being that lost to an MC Raspberry Pi.
Right. You would boo them today, but would you be booing them 100 years from now?
But that assumes that 100% of the time the AI will do it as proficiently.
Right.
No. Because then it sucks the humanity out of it.
Yeah.
That's the distinction.
Would you boo the chess grandmaster who loses to an AI?
No, because at present the AI can do it with relative probability.
Right.
So, yeah, you don't know how good something is until it's gone. You don't know how meaningful humanity is until it's obsolete. Whoa! I don't know. I could have done that better, but
no. It's good to point out that at the end of the automation rainbow is obsolescence for what came before.
Right, and you're saying that philosophically we ought to make an extra effort to reintroduce humanity at a greater cost.
Potentially. I don't think we should automate things that people already find intrinsically enjoyable.
And okay, back to let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake.
I don't care as much if droves of people derive greater utility out of something. That weighs less on my mind than the boon of having every character in Mass Effect voiced. Wait, is every character in Mass Effect voiced?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, well, fine.
Disco Elysium.
Disco Elysium, yeah.
Like, you're saying you're fine with Pro ZD being relegated to just giving his performances to family and friends and his YouTube channel because no one in the industry will hire him because they don't have a need for him anymore.
What do you mean they don't have a need for him anymore?
His body of work could be sufficiently large that the AI algorithm can give you a perfect Pro ZD impression. Just type in what voice lines you need and it spits it out.
Okay, but he can do things that the AI can't.
Oh, like?
Like a different performance than has been in the body.
No.
What do you mean, no?
No. This algorithm is basically giving you a new... it has his voice as a font and can do anything his voice is capable of.
If you design an AI to paint as I have painted, I can change it up.
And the AI can change it up. This is what machine learning is.
Talk to Justin. Yeah.
With a sufficiently large pool of data, then the AI has enough to adapt.
Okay. Then if you put it that way, we ought not outsource his art, even though it's many times cheaper and easier.
Right. The cheaper and easier part means that if a company has the option to use AI voice actor, they're going to take that option.
Right. And if... Okay.
Doug Cockle could be out of a job.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be an issue if universal basic income was a thing. But I don't understand. I feel like automation misses the point when you remove human activities that we already enjoy doing and make it so we don't have to do the things we enjoy anymore. That doesn't make sense to me.
And it wouldn't be enough to grant Doug the majority of the royalties of the AI's voice lines.
I mean,
you couldn't pay Doug 50 cents on the megabyte of the AI and avail yourself of philosophical responsibility.
Let's say for some reason
I'm putting into praxis.
Yeah. Let's say I sustain my living by playing video games somehow.
Yeah.
Guess what, Heath? I really like playing video games.
Yeah.
If you pay me so that I sustain myself, but the trade-off is I don't get to play video games anymore, I don't accept that deal.
Right. Well, no, you do get to play video games, just not for money.
No. That's not the argument here. Because the AI is removing work from Doug Cockle or any voice actor.
Right.
They don't get to appear in movies and productions anymore.
He can still go on the Tonight Show and talk about this and write a book.
Appearing for a celebrity performance isn't the same as getting to perform your craft.
Okay. Yeah.
Assuming he likes voice performances, which I kind of think
since he's done it for thousands of hours.
It has the side benefit of paying his bills, but he probably likes to use his voice to tell stories and inspire people.
Yeah.
And that's just gone if the only Doug Cockle voice out there is an AI. Similarly...
Or the cheapest Doug Cockle. Yeah. It's not the only.
It would basically be a company would have to voluntarily elect to hire the real Doug Cockle to get an identical performance and pay more money to do it.
And I would and then if that game is more expensive, would you spend the extra money to chalk one up for humanity?
You just take the L on that one for image, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Imagine a Kickstarter for Doug Cockle to use his voice when the AI is already perfectly available.
The stretch goal is we'll hire the real Doug Cockle.
Oh, and not use his AI library.
And then when it comes out, there's some contingent of the audience that was like, Doug Cockle's kind of losing it. Should have gone with the AI.
Yeah. Oh, no, Doug flubbed this line. Quick, just use the AI to patch it up.
It's so weird to think about.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, I don't like that.
Well, it's a lot to think about.
There needs to be a philosophical vanguard.
The philosophical vanguard.
Yeah, to say, no, we gotta... Oh, yeah.
I thought there was a lot to mine from this topic, and there's more to talk about, but I think we did it justice for now.
You're trying to keep this to 2 hours?
Yeah. I've got to hit the gym.
Oh, you do.
Do you have any closing thoughts, Heath?
In conclusion, yeah, no matter how efficient or affordable. Well, here's the thing. If you can program an AI to grow crops better, you're going to opt for that out of it's so you can feed the homeless.
Sure.
Despite old MacDonald being like, but I liked growing crops.
Yeah.
I mean, then you gotta that's the needs of the many.
Needs of the many, and that I wouldn't necessarily ban home gardens, of which my family.
And you
has
wouldn't
one.
even do UBI before satisfying that need.
Probably not. No.
So okay. Anyway, in conclusion, back to that. Everyone has a right to what's the opposite of obsolescence? A right
necessity, purpose.
Yeah. That should be an unalienable right. Is the right to matter. You can't automate someone, but then freaking Easy Pass.
Keep coming back to Easy Pass.
I like not having to slow down in the booth.
And I think that's fine. I don't think anyone is crying about losing out on being able to collect some change and give you back some quarters.
Mm-hmm.
The people who complain are because they've lost their paycheck, which could be ameliorated through other means.
What if you're like a train conductor and you like being a train conductor? People do like
trains.
Yeah.
I know this. That's a little rough. That is a little rough. If the AI trained conductor can run more on schedule and doesn't require brakes.
Fewer accidents.
Fewer brakes. No brakes needed.
You will have more accidents per year with a human driver.
Right. Which I'm imagining when AI driving cars become more ubiquitous and
taxis are gone.
And then it's at what point do we force people to not manually drive because they are putting other lives at risk? I feel like that you can appeal to the need of the many over the needs of the few at that point.
Yeah.
Your insistence of driving the car the old-fashioned way is
a statistical is statistically significant.
Right. That you will you're more likely to end someone's life doing that.
We'll put you in jail before we put you in front of the wheel.
Right, right. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a cool episode, Heath. Cool. 13 Sentinels, Frostpunk, and AI voice acting.
And VR troubles.
VR troubles. And your movie run through. This was packed.
Yeah.
We just need to take a 2-month break between every episode, and then they'll all be bangers.
Settle down. I can keep up. I just need to put my foot down.
All right. So
in the next episode, we will all talk about the Witcher movie.
Yeah.
And when is this? Steam Deck doesn't come out until holiday, right?
It's December. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'll hopefully finish 13 Sentinels and probably pick up Mass Effect 2 where I left off.
I will quit my job so that I can play the games more often and play Death Stranding Director's Cut, Witcher 3, Mass Effects, and then find a way to play 13 Sentinels.
Maybe we can work something out.
That's what's on my mind.
All right, sweet. You can send us an email if you're so inclined at mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
Let us know where you stand on the obsolescence precipice at mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
Ooh, that could be a good title, The Obsolescence Precipice of this episode.
I liked people do like trains. I know this. But that's where we differ.
Both are valid candidates.
Thanks for listening, folks.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye.